Alright, we're back with another episode of what GTA 6 can learn from other games. And this one is genuinely one that I'm really excited to talk about. Because the game that we're covering today is no other than 007 First Light. And look, I was already a huge fan of the Hitman games. So going into this one, I had pretty high expectations, and I'm happy to say that it absolutely delivered for me. I really enjoyed this game a lot, and honestly, the timing of this game coming out right around when GTA 6 was supposed to drop feels very intentional to me, and it feels like the developers were clearly inspired by what GTA 6 is shaping up to be. And also, a fun fact for anybody is Rockstar actually had a spy game in development for a while called Agent that never ended up coming out. So, in a lot of ways, playing 007 First Light felt like what that game might have looked like. And if you're excited about GTA 6 or you just love gaming in general, please consider liking and subscribing because we kind of do everything here that ties back into GTA 6. Now, with that being said, let's get into it. So the first thing that really stood out to me in 007 was the parkour and overall movement system. The way that Bond interacts with the environment goes way beyond just climbing a ladder or hopping over a fence. You can climb poles, scale things you would normally not think to climb, and the whole thing just felt super dynamic and alive in a way that most games don't really nail. And that's something I would genuinely love to see in GTA 6 because Rockstar games have always been a little bit cut and dry when it comes to movement, let's be honest. You climb what the game tells you to climb, and that's kind of it. But imagine if GTA 6 gave you way more options for how you interact with the environment around you, like being able to use poles and ledges and unexpected surfaces to get around would add so much depth to both exploration and combat situations. And I think that it would make the world feel so much more alive and interactive overall. Now, this next thing is actually something that I changed my opinion on while I was playing 007, and that is the NPC conversation system. When I first started playing, I genuinely thought that the dialogue choices had real consequences, and that there were actually wrong answers that can get you in trouble. But I pretty quickly realized that it was more of an illusion, and that what you say doesn't really change much in the game, at least as far as I understood it. And while I appreciate the idea of it, what I want in GTA 6 is to actually go all the way for this whole idea. We already know from Red Dead 2 that Rockstar is comfortable giving you options to greet or antagonize strangers. But imagine if GTA 6 expanded that into 4 or maybe 5 options, and those choices would actually matter in game. Like if you antagonize the wrong person in a certain mission, it could actually change how that mission plays out entirely. Or on the other hand, if you say something correct to a character on a mission, maybe you can get a tip or some kind of item that helps you with that mission or changes the way that it ends. I think that Rockstar absolutely has the ability to pull this off. And I don't think it's asking too much. Maybe from another developer, this would be a big ask, but I think Rockstar can pull it off, and it would make the world genuinely feel reactive in a way that no other video game actually has ever felt. Okay, so this is probably the biggest one for me, and I think a lot of people are probably going to agree with this. Playing 007 made me realize just how much I love stealth gameplay and how much I want to see that in GTA 6. Stealth has never really been a core part of GTA, and even in Red Dead, it was pretty limited. But I would love to see GTA 6 build a deeper stealth system that actually gives you breathing room to play around with. Like, instead of being spotted, meaning that it's just a gunfight and everybody knows where you are, I want a system where you get spotted by a small group of enemies and then you could actually take them out quietly. Let's say you have a silencer before they make a lot of noise, like shooting their gun, and then it would actually allow you to keep stealth going, even if you got caught by a group of enemies and there are other enemies that are further away. I also love the idea of distractions and luring enemies away, which we've seen in games like Skyrim, so if they could do it all the way back then, I think we can get that as well. Also, something like the Q-Watch from 007 that lets you see through walls and interact with objects from a distance would be an insane addition, you know? Just make stealth completely optional, and if Rockstar just never forces you to be fully stealthy, I think that it would add an entirely new dimension to how people experience GTA 6, and it'd be great for people that love that, but it would also be something that isn't required. Alright, so let's move in from stealth to the combat, because this is something that I absolutely loved and we have to talk about it. One of the things that 007 did better than almost any game I've played recently is the flow state that you get into during combat. When you're chaining headshots and punches and gunplay all together in this smooth, fluid way, the dopamine is genuinely insane. It never feels like you're just hiding behind cover waiting to peek out and shoot. It feels dynamic and super exciting and like you're actually in control of the situation. And that's something I really want GTA 6 to capture, because the cover-based combat in previous Rockstar games always felt a little bit stiff and rigid in my opinion. If GTA 6 can create the same kind of flowing combat loop where you're seamlessly going from hand-to-hand combat to gunplay and then taking cover and back again, without it like feeling too clunky, then it's going to feel absolutely incredible to play, just because of how smooth it all ties together. And speaking of combat, the cover system in 007 actually felt incredibly familiar button-wise, at least on PlayStation, because it actually uses the same inputs as GTA and Red Dead, but the way it actually functions is so much more smooth. You never feel locked in or boxed behind cover. You can fluidly move in and out of cover and sprint between cover spots, and the whole thing just flows incredibly naturally with everything else just happening around you. And I actually have a really good feeling that Rockstar is already thinking about this, because I just can't imagine them shipping GTA 6 with the same stiff cover system that we've had ever since GTA 4. I think the cover in GTA 6 is going to feel much closer to how 007 covered it, where it's just a tool that you use fluidly rather than like a position that you get stuck in. And if you combine that with everything else we just talked about regarding combat flow, I think the gunplay and the gameplay in GTA 6 is going to feel genuinely next level. Okay, so this next one is really interesting because it actually ties directly into something from the GTA 6 leaks. In 007, Bond has this ability where you can slow time down and land a precise shot, which feels really satisfying and adds a cool layer to the combat. And according to the leaks for GTA 6, either Jason or Lucia is going to have a similar ability. From what I heard, Lucia might have a version where she can slow time for just one bullet, and then Jason might have a more extended version of that since he was in the military, where he can hold out for a little bit longer, and maybe it'll be more similar to the Deadeye system. And honestly, that makes so much sense because it would give both characters a distinct feeling in combat, which also would add the same satisfying precision element that made the focus shot in 007 feel so good. I don't think it's going to be as deep as Deadeye from Red Dead was, but more like a quick focused moment that you can build back up over time, just like the focus meter in 007, and I think that it's going to feel super clean if we get something like that. Now, another thing that 007 did really well was making the environment itself a weapon during combat. You could shoot barrels, gas pipes, you can hack to cause explosions or release smoke. The whole environment just felt like something you could use tactically rather than just like a backdrop for the gameplay. Now, I don't think GTA 6 is going to do quite as well with this as 007 did, because it's an open world game. There's obviously limitations to how destructible things can realistically be, but I would love to see more interactive combat environments where you can use things around you to strategically take out groups of enemies. Even just having more objects that react to gunfire or can be used as distractions would add so much to the combat experience and make every fight feel a little bit different depending on where it happens. Something else that I really appreciated in 007 was having your companions actually be useful during missions. There's a moment where you're inside a building with a character named Greenway, and when I was stuck, he just naturally pointed out what I needed to do without it feeling forced or annoying. It just naturally happened. And that kind of companion behavior is something that I would really want to see in GTA 6, especially since the game revolves around two protagonists. I want Jason and Lucia to actually communicate meaningfully during missions. I want them to point things out or offer advice and kill enemies and generally feel like real partners instead of just characters who are in the backdrop. When a companion feels genuinely useful, it adds so much immersion to the whole experience. And I think that Rockstar, with everything that they've built in Red Dead 2, with Arthur and the gang, is absolutely capable of delivering that at a much higher level. Okay, so I was saving this one for last because I know it's a little controversial and I want to be careful with how I frame this. A lot of people hate the idea of futuristic elements in GTA, but hear me out for a second. GTA 6 takes place in modern day 2026, at least as far as we all know. The world right now genuinely has robotics, advanced tech, and things that would have seemed like science fiction 20 years ago. And 007 leaned into that with some cyborg and android enemies, and it honestly felt really cool in that game. We have seen robots appear in GTA Online and Red Dead Online, so Rockstar is clearly not opposed to the whole concept. Now, I'm not saying I want GTA 6 to turn into a sci-fi game, but I feel like some subtle futuristic tech, or maybe some cyborg enemies here and there, or some kind of advanced gadgets that feel grounded in where the real world actually is right now, could be really cool if Rockstar handles it with the right balance. But let me know in the comments what you think about that, and what else you loved in 007 that you would want to see make its way into GTA 6, maybe something that I didn't mention, or something that I did mention. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I had a really great time with this game, and I think that we're going to see a lot of its DNA show up in GTA 6 when it finally drops. But with all that being said, guys, that's going to do it for this one. I hope you enjoyed. Leave a comment about what you thought and what you liked in 007, or if you enjoyed that game in general. And yeah, you guys could check out my other videos. I already have another video talking about what GTA 3 has that I would love for GTA 6 to have. And yeah, we're going to keep this series going. With that being said, guys, stay healthy, stay safe, and I will see everybody in Vice City. Take care.